All right, these are the first two questions in we'll call it 10 interrogatories by the viewers. So I picked the 10 most stimulating, I thought provocative questions. I don't dodge questions like David Latt. Um, yeah, I have a friendly rivalry with him, but I do hope, that salvation hits him, and he praises the one who saved him for COVID. But anyway, 10 interrogatories. We're going to tackle two at a time. So it's going to be a 5-part series. And let's just go. And oh, it's improv too. So, after I pick I do kind of, I don't call this cheating, but I do kind of like pick the best, so I think about a little bit of how I would answer, but we're just gonna go improv from there on out. So, the first one was, how do you deal with being deaf in retirement? And I like that question because there's kind of like sounds like one good thing, one bad thing, right? Um, and so let's start. Let's just go. I think they're related. Okay, so if I just had my cancer diagnosis, yes, I do think I'd be retired because it was stage 4 right away, and you don't go down from stage 4. You don't improve to stage 3 terminal. That's just not how it works. But I'm gonna. Every day is a new day, and I'm gonna break that just like I break the records for continuances in criminal law. But here's how I think about the hearing. That's a very important. And the retirement question piece of it's really easy, though. The hearing, yeah. So every day I do a prayer. And it says, "Blessed are you, Lord our God, who directs the steps of man." Not directs the steps of me, directs the steps of Jeff, it says man. So I know that following the good, not the Yetzirah Hasatan devil, but following the good, following the light, some say, will work for me. And I also don't fear my adversaries because their steps are, they are given by our creator or the evil, and the evil never wins. God, we have a song out there with Kanye, Mike Buey, called "God Wins." So, not having ears, right? There's a lot of noise in this world. Okay, just toxic noise. So when I am able to control, because I use my cell phone as my transcriber, it transcribes, and it doesn't work well with like more than 2 people or a crowd. I can't go to a concert and expect to hear music and everything like that. It doesn't work like that. So essentially, I control who I want to hear, and that makes it even easier to discern where my steps shall follow. I also get written transcription in case I need to use it for litigation purposes. So, not hearing has become a benefit for me. Some people also, and this is very, very crucial, some people report that one of their other senses improve when they go deaf or lose a sense in general. And it's not like that for me. In fact, what I've noticed though is my spiritual ears, which means your prophetic way of talking to God, has improved. Some people get what's called musical ear, which means it replaces the dullness with a song. I don't get anything like that I remember from, rap that I used to like, 10 years back or whatever. I get new messages and directions to follow for those steps of man that I outlined earlier. So, retirement, I always wanted to be retired at the age of, I always wanted to be retired in my 40s or early 40s or 40 exact, because that's a biblical number. So I was able to retire at 42, so I can do what I want, say what I want to say, and live out the life that God has for me, which is a lot of mission work. I mean, I'm doing mission work all the time. Shout out to the current mission work of turbocancer.org. And then also, we finished up the COVID audit called Who to Stop.org as well. So they're linked on the current Turbo Cancer. But yeah, retirement's, this is my retirement. I'm at with my favorite person right now. Other than Jessa, my daughter, is my mom, and we live pretty good in retirement, but we're busy with mission work. Okay, so the next question that came in is who's your current attorney, or do you use an attorney? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Now, there's client attorney privilege, but that's mostly for protecting me. So I can talk, but I don't want to talk too much. His name is Tim Pavone. Okay. He's in a kind of a make or break situation right now with me as his client. I like the guy a lot. Especially because God leads him. And the one time I saw God's hand on him, he was able to stop in Mecklenburg, which is the main, county for Charlotte. In Charlotte, he was able to stop and win. I'll say it right out. Win against the top transactional attorney in the world, Michael Mesha, formerly of Cadwalader, but how Cadwalader works is they usually keep their attorneys on payroll. The partners, I mean, not the associates, but some of the key equity partners they'll keep. One of which is Michael Mesha, who I have a public victory against because of Tim Pavone. Also, another attorney that they keep is famous Todd Blanche. Todd Blanche represented and currently does some of Trump's litigation and criminal defense. He was doing that, but he's all over the space, public, private, and everything like that. So you can't do that. That's something that's a conflict of interest that gets prosecuted right away. But we won't talk about that much because that, again, is client privilege of God and me, really. Because the attorneys that publicly represent, they have to, they have a hard job. Now, Tim doesn't represent high-profile people. I'm probably the highest profile, not to sound, big or anything like that. I'm 5'5". I'm not trying to compensate by sounding big or anything. It was just a very well-known local attorney here. Actually try to put that seed in my head. His name is also Jeff, but he was saying how high profile my case is as an excuse to maybe he wasn't big enough to take it on. I don't know. But, we forgive all our adversaries. I don't see Tim Pavone as an adversary. I did speak to him. We disagree sometimes, We do disagree. That's common for attorneys and their clients to disagree. But hopefully he will do the righteous thing and stop taking what I believe is what my prior attorney, and I do want to go into my prior attorney, very beautiful lady, but unethically, you don't do an unsolicited refund, especially a 5-figure amount. So that kind of tips your hand that there's malfeasance coming, a word I didn't know. God gave it to me, and that just means money. Private parties, private attorneys, they can make deals. They're supposed to be with the ADAs and the DAs, but it shouldn't involve money, okay? And if it does involve money, it can't be with a public figure like that. So God has shown God will always reveal to the righteous what the wicked are doing, but the wicked can always repent and the wicked can turn good. That's the goal, right? So, Tim Pavone, in my assessment, I had to give him a harsh message from God the other day. So, this question, I felt like it needed to be the second question on this interview. But great question, well timed, and I do see greatness for Tim. I really do, because he knows, even if I wasn't, intelligent, even if I wasn't, even though I don't have a JD, but my undergrad is good, my legal network is solid everywhere, except Union County, maybe Union County, but Union County has its own decree. That's a neighboring kind of adjacent county to Mecklenburg, where Tim has been dominant in my assessment. So kind of a mixed bag, crucial moment for Tim, but everything happens for a godly reason, to overcome, for salvation of others. You will hear that biblical quote a lot. And that's it for the first two questions. And I look forward to part two, where we field two more. And I appreciate these two questions. Whoever, I have to look back who submitted it. But some of them, I will say this, I need to say this, some of them are godly. So God watches, and I told you this is for the viewers, and God can submit a question as well. And we can go into how that works, but it's usually a new thought that wasn't there before. That's usually when God's intervening, People tend to give themselves credit for all their brainy ideas. They think they're a think tank, but God is a part of everything. God is your brain or heart and everything like that. You don't own your organs 100% of the time. But I digress. To end this in a reasonable amount of time. Let's see. Yeah, okay. Well, have a blessed weekend, and talk to you guys later.